Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today is part 2 of my Hermes foundation review. That's right, I'm going to give you a full day wear test, my final thoughts, and I'm going to show you how this pairs with the new Hermes primer. And more importantly, we have an epic foundation showdown where I am comparing the new Hermes foundation to 11 of the most popular foundations in luxury beauty today. So if that sounds like fun to you, please make sure you stick around till the end. And if you enjoy my content and you haven't subscribed to my channel, I would seriously love it if you were to join our growing community of beauty lovers and friends. We talk about all the latest in makeup and beauty on my channel, and more importantly, we have a lot of fun while we're doing it. So I would love it if you were to join our community. So please make sure that you hit that little subscribe button and the notification bell because we have a lot of fun spring releases coming up, and I wouldn't want you to miss a single thing. All right, let's get this party started. So we're going to start out this video by me showing you a full day wear test with the foundation without the primer. All day wear test was several hours, and then I'm also going to show you a full day wear test of the foundation with the primer before we get into the whole foundation showdown. And I also will put timestamps below so that you can jump to different sections, but I wanted to give you a little preview of coming attractions. So first we will have the wear test for the foundation on its own, then with the primer, and then our foundation showdown. All right, let's go. So we are about 8 hours into our wear test, and as you can see, the foundation is holding up very nicely. It still has a beautiful glow, and the coverage is very good, and this is done in natural lighting, so you're seeing it up close and personal, but looking so good so far. And now we are about 10 hours into our wear test, and this is in fluorescent lighting, but as you can see, foundation is still holding up very well. Beautiful glow, and my skin looks nice and healthy. Okay, beauty, so I am at the end of a 12-hour wear test. You're seeing me how my coworkers see me at the end of the day, at the end of a long day's work. Aren't they lucky? You're seeing me in my natural form, my natural habitat. So this is what the foundation looks like 12 hours in. Now, I think it's important to note, my eyes are always running. I don't know if it's the cold lately or what it is. So a lot of my concealer did come off. I have on the Sarah Creole concealer, but today my eyes especially were like fountains. The water was flowing. So try not to pay attention too much to that. A little bit came off around the nose, but I feel like that's common, especially in the winter. But I think you can see that up close, it looks pretty good. My skin looks glowy. It looks healthy. It's not dry. It doesn't feel tight. There's no dry patches. Sometimes I'll get random dry patches on my cheeks, and I'm not getting anything there. Nothing there. It looks good on the forehead. And then even when you go back a little bit so that I'm not up in your face, it looks pretty good. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, but I'm pretty happy with how it looks. And it feels great, but I think the coverage is still there. I think it's providing great coverage at the end of a 12-hour day. I did set this with a little bit of setting spray this morning, just because that's how I wear my foundation in my normal life. I use a little bit of setting spray just to lock everything in. But I think the coverage is still there, and I think it stayed true to color throughout the whole day, which I know was one of the promises of the foundation, and I think it held up on that promise. And my skin just feels so smooth. I still feel like I just put moisturizer on. It's very moist, no dryness. It just feels great and it looks great. So again, this is the end of a very long day of me commuting, working, all that stuff, and it's cold, it's winter. So you have to keep that in mind. So obviously I'm going to get a little bit of, breaking up of the foundation around this area and stuff like that. But beyond that, I'm very happy with it. And it feels like I have nothing on my skin. It feels weightless. So I'm very happy with it. But more importantly, let me know what you think of it. After a full 12-hour wear test, what do we think? Let me know in the comments down below. So now that you've seen the wear test for the foundation on its own, let's go to the wear test for the foundation with the primer. Now this is the wear test with the primer. This is about 6 hours in, so my makeup is looking fresh. My skin looks hydrated. And now we're 10 hours into the wear test with the primer, and I think the makeup stayed on pretty well. Seeing a little bit of dryness coming through, but still looking pretty good. Okay, so we are about 11 hours into our wear test with the primer. We are priming right here. And as you can see, the foundation has worn off a little bit. I mean, especially around this area, but keep in mind it's January. You get the sniffles. You know how it is, right? But if you look at like my forehead area, if you look up here, my skin does look very hydrated. And I think that this did help my makeup stay on a little bit longer. Even when I was wearing it throughout the day, I noticed that the foundation looked a little bit heavier, but not in a bad way. It just looked stronger having the primer on. The first time I used the primer, I thought it was a little bit drying, but then I used more today. I think I just didn't use enough of it. So maybe a couple or 3 pumps of this is necessary. But I actually really like it, and I think it did a good job of priming the skin. But let me know in the comments down below, what do you think of this wear test compared to the one without the primer? And just for everyone that likes to get up close and personal so you could see the actual product on my actual face up close. Here we go. And before coming on camera, I did just touch up my concealer under my eyes. I put the Prada concealer on just a little bit around here because I got a little breakout because it's that kind of week. And I just think that if you look from a distance, not up close, up all in my business, right? If you look from afar, my face does look very good as far as the foundation goes. It's only when you get really close that you see whatever little imperfections I have that I would like to deny that I have, but I guess I do have them. But when we look far away, I don't have that many imperfections. I look flawless, but then we get up close, a little bit less perfect. But let's focus on this, right? Let's zoom out. And I think it just looks really good. All joking aside, for a moment, just for a moment. I think it does look very good. See how hydrated my skin looks? I think it looks really good. So I'm happy with it. And I'll let you know my final thoughts on this primer in the roundup when I give you my final thoughts on the foundation and the primer and the combination and the 2 products by themselves. But I do want to say that I did enjoy this primer. The only thing that I'll mention again later in the video. This primer I felt had a much more prominent scent than the foundation. When I put it on, I still smelled it on my face maybe an hour or 2 after wearing it, and then eventually the scent dissipated. But if you're sensitive to scents, you may want to skip out on the primer or go smell it in store or go smell the foundation in store, because this to me had a stronger scent and a more lasting scent than the foundation did. So I just want to make a note of that. And now that our wear tests are over, let us go into the most fun part of the video, the foundation showdown. Okay, so let us start our foundation show-off extravaganza. We're going to go in with the Hermes primer. And I went back and forth when I was thinking about this video. Should I use the primer? Should I not use the primer? Because my opinion is that this is a beautiful primer, but I don't think it's necessary because I think the foundation is good enough on its own that you don't need the primer. But if you buy this primer, if you want to splurge on it, or if it's not a splurge for you and you want to get it, I do not think you will be disappointed in this primer. I think it's a beautiful primer. I've been loving it. I will use it. Will I repurchase it if it runs out? I'm not sure, but I've been really loving it. So if you try it, I think you'll love it, but I don't think you need it for the $110 because this is good on its own, the foundation. I don't think you necessarily need both, but I've been loving both. But since I have to prime this face of mine anyway, I might as well use the very expensive primer that I bought and get some use out of it. Okay. So I'll show you what it looks like. So that's the texture. And the first day I wore this primer, I thought it was a little bit drying, but I think I just didn't use enough of it. And I just go in with my hands and apply it all over. But it's very hydrating. The one thing I do want to warn you about is that this primer is more fragrance, in my opinion, than the foundation. And what I mean by that is that when you put the foundation on, I feel like once you smell the fragrance, initially you don't smell it after about, 10 seconds of putting it on your face. This I smelled a couple of hours after putting it on my face. Maybe the combination of the primer and the foundation was very strong, but I feel like this I smell on my face more than the foundation. So if you're very sensitive to fragrances, maybe see if you can tolerate the fragrance that's in these products and then go from there if you're thinking about the primer, but it's a little bit more fragrance than I would prefer and more than the foundation. So just keep that in mind. Okay. So now that we are primed up, see the close-up, let us apply the Hermes foundation. Now, the website says you can either apply it using the brush that Hermes makes or you can use your hands. Now, I prefer to use my hands. Normally, I don't use my hands on camera because I am a lady after all, but I want to show you how it looks with your hands. I put a little too much on. Wipe some of this off. It's just such a beautiful formula, and when you're wearing it throughout the day, you don't even feel anything on your skin. It's just weightless. I love it. And I've worn this straight now for several days, and I really am so happy that I tried it. And I do feel very happy to recommend it. Just tapping it in. Now, I don't have concealer on yet, just a little bit on my chin because we have a little bit of a breakout situation there. Just want to show you what this foundation looks like without concealer. But you see how it's flawless, right? It makes your skin look flawless. You buff it out with a brush. So this is the Hermes in the shade 21N. Just look how beautiful it is. It's gorgeous. Oh, I love this foundation. Okay, so first we're going to compare it to my Victoria Beckham foundation drops. Now, if you've been watching my channel for any length of time, you know how much I love these foundation drops. They are soulmate status in my mind. I don't know what that says about the quality of my dating life if I'm calling a foundation a soulmate, but this is soulmate status. Now, let me show you what it looks like on the hand versus the Hermes. So you can see the consistency. Now, this is Fair Light 2 from the Victoria Beckham foundation drops. As you can see, this is a quite runny formula compared to the Hermes. It's running down my hand very quickly. So before that happens, let's not waste any product and let's get this on my face. I love the Victoria Beckham foundation drops. They are just insanely beautiful. Just such a good formula. And it was like, remember when we were all freaking out because the price of the foundation drops were $110? Doesn't that seem like a distant memory now that we have the Hermes for $145? It was a simpler time. What I love about this foundation is you don't need a lot of product to get a beautiful finish on the skin. So this is the Victoria Beckham foundation drops, and this is the Hermes. I'm going to put a little bit more of the Victoria Beckham just because I had put on a little bit more of the Hermes, just so you could see a fair comparison. I love this foundation so much that during Black Friday I stocked up because I was afraid to be without it. Now, I think that the finishes on these two foundations are perhaps some of the most similar out of my collection when you compare them, because they almost look identical, right? So this is the Hermes, and this is the Victoria Beckham. When I sit back and you look at it, they almost look identical. I don't think you could tell the difference. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below which finish you prefer. I think that the main difference between these foundations is the Hermes, I think, has a little bit more coverage, a little bit less glow. See the way the light's reflecting off of this versus that? This is more like blinding glowy. In fact, I think that the difference is the wear time. I think the Hermes is slightly longer lasting. And I think that your skin looks even better than it does with the Victoria Beckham foundation drops after several hours. If I had to pick between the Hermes and the Victoria Beckham foundation drops, I don't know if I could. I think the Hermes might win slightly just because of how good my skin looks after I use it. But these are both absolutely beautiful and very similar finishes when you compare them. So this is the Victoria Beckham versus the Hermes. Let me know in the comments down below, which one do you like better? Let's keep this party bus going. And we're going to compare it now to the Prada foundation. This is the shade LW10. This is the Prada Reveal Skin Optimizing Foundation. I'll pump both of these on my hand so you can see. So this is the Hermes, this is the Prada. As you can see, the Prada is a much more runny consistency, kind of like the Victoria Beckham foundation drops. The Hermes is holding strong, staying right where I put it. Now, I recently tried this foundation and I love it. My thoughts on how these compare is that the Hermes provides more coverage and it's much more long-lasting, in my opinion, my experience. But I do love the Prada. Like I said, I've only recently tried this. When I was testing out the concealer, I bought the foundation so that I could see how the two mesh together. I'm going to build it up a little bit more. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you like the Prada foundation? How are you liking the concealer if you've tried it? I know some of you have told me that it's been drying on you, which is unfortunate because I didn't have that experience. So I'm sorry if you've had that experience with the concealer. I did not have that experience, but I've heard it now from a few of my viewers and subscribers that you're having that issue with the Prada concealer, which is concerning. And I'm sorry again if you've had that experience. Okay, so again, we have the Hermes on this side and the Prada on this side. What do you think of the difference? The Prada is a slightly warmer shade. But I think the Hermes provides more coverage. I think your skin looks a lot better after you've had it on for several hours compared to the Prada, and it's much more long-lasting. So even though it kind of looks similar upon initial application, I think the main difference is in the wear time and how it goes throughout the day. But again, this is the Hermes and this is the Prada. Let me know, which one do you like better? Okay, so now let's move on to the Chaintecaille Future Skin Oil-Free Gel Foundation in the shade Ivory. Now, I haven't featured this on my channel yet because I don't know how I feel about this foundation, because I don't remember why I wasn't crazy about it when I tried it a couple times. I think it was the longevity, how it looked throughout the day. I don't know if it looked dry or it was the color. I don't really remember what it was. But let me show you what it looks like swatched, and then we will try it. I'm also just not crazy about a jar application method, but that's just a personal preference. Okay, so now this is the Hermes, and this is the Chaintecaille in the shade Ivory, which to me doesn't look like ivory. It looks darker. They're both staying strong. They're not moving. They're loyal. They're not running away from commitment. They're kind of like the good guys in the movie that never get the pretty girl, because the pretty girl always goes for the bad guy. Then she ends up going to the good guy who was always her friend and always in love with her. These are the foundations that are that good guy. Victoria Beckham and the Prada, they're more the bad guy with the leather jacket and the motorcycle in the movie. That will, of course, break your heart. These foundations, they're a little bit more steady, probably. A little bit more in your corner, marriage material, that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm going to stop comparing foundations to movie characters, and we're going to get this on my face. I hope you enjoy my little tangents and little comparisons I make and things like that, because I feel life is too serious to be taken seriously. We have to laugh. So I try to keep it light and fresh on my channel. So if you enjoy, please let me know in the comments. It really makes my day. If you guys say that you like my jokes or whatever, it's good to know. So I hope you are enjoying them. And again, I think it's important just to keep things light and fresh and happy, because that is what I'm trying to create on my little corner of the internet. It's just a fun, happy space where we can all bond over our love of makeup and just, bond over things in life. And I don't know, just have a nice little community of people who start out as just, beauty lovers, but become friends. That's how I view this little community that we're building. So if you haven't subscribed yet and you want to be part of our community, we would seriously love to have you. We have so much fun on this channel. And also, even in the comments down below, you guys interact with each other. I love to interact with all of you. So if you haven't subscribed yet and you're enjoying this video or you're enjoying my content, please make sure you subscribe if you're interested, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. And I do upload, 2 to 3 times a week to let you know about all the latest in makeup and beauty. And more importantly, we just have fun while we're at it. So we would love it if you were to join our community and subscribe. And the Chaintecaille is a gel foundation. It's fragrance-free. So if you are sensitive to fragrances, you might want to go with the Chaintecaille over the Hermes if you're picking between these two. But this is the Hermes and this is the Chaintecaille. I have to say, I'm not remembering why I didn't like the Chaintecaille. I'm kind of having a little bit of doubting of myself, which I do, believe me. But I'm wondering why I didn't like it. Because now I'm looking at it, it's beautiful. Almost as good as the Hermes, or maybe even better. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you prefer Chaintecaille? Do you like the Hermes? What do we think? Because now I have to try the Chaintecaille again, because I didn't give it a fair shot, apparently. But I'm not going to speak to longevity. Like I said, I've only tried the Chaintecaille a couple times, so I don't want to unfairly judge that foundation compared to the Hermes. But I think the finish is a little bit similar. Maybe the Chaintecaille is a little bit more perfecting. Also, I think the next time, also with this Hermes, I probably would get a shade deeper. It's a little bit too light for my liking now that I'm seeing it more closely. But the shade issue aside, the Chaintecaille is beautiful. And I think it provides a little bit more coverage than the Hermes. So again, I'm not going to weigh in just because I haven't tested this enough, but based on my first impressions, kind of, let's call it that, Chaintecaille is just as good as the Hermes, if not better. So again, Hermes, Chaintecaille. Okay, so I removed the Chaintecaille. I feel like my skin's getting a little bit dry just from taking all the makeup off and putting it back on. So I'm just going to apply a little bit more of the primer. I'm not doing this with every application, but every other application or so. And I'm just applying this lip gloss just so my lips have a little bit of color. This is the Armani Prisma Glass in the shade number 3, I think. That's what my eyes are telling me. So now let's move on to the outside in foundation. Now, I think these are a dupe for the Victoria Beckham foundation drops, with a caveat that this foundation has more coverage, I think, than the Victoria Beckham foundation drops. I think that the shades are hard to pick out in this formula. This is the outside in, and this is the Hermes. Outside in is running a little bit more. It is a serum foundation, just like the Victoria Beckham foundation drops. So just keep that in mind. Very hydrating, very perfecting on the skin. An instant favorite, really. So nice. And the person that created Outside In was the founder of Hourglass Cosmetics. So there is a lot of expertise behind the brand. And it's just a little bit more perfecting than the Victoria Beckham foundation drops. A little bit less glowy. So if you found that the Victoria Beckham foundation drops were too glowy, or you like a more perfected look, slightly more mattifying, then you might prefer the Outside In. I've really been loving it, and I wear it quite often, actually. I don't hear a lot of people talking about it, but I feel like more people should. And if you want to see a full review and demo of the Outside In foundation compared to the Victoria Beckham foundation drops, I do have a full review of that on my channel. If you're interested after watching this video, if you want to check that out to find out more information. And the Outside In foundation is number 110 Light Cool. Like I said, it is hard to pick a good shade for this foundation. It's a little bit deeper than I normally go for, but I do prefer it just because I think it looks nice on my skin. Okay, so this is the Hermes, and this is the Outside In. What do you think? Please excuse this horrible breakout situation I have on my chin. It's breakout? Breakup? No, breakout. Breakup would require a relationship. Breakout. Okay, so let me know in the comments down below, do you prefer the Hermes or the Outside In? I think that the Hermes has more skincare benefits. Like I keep saying, I'm going to keep saying this like a broken record. When this wears off, your skin looks great. This foundation, I feel like it's equally long-lasting. It's pretty long-lasting. I don't think it leaves your skin looking like the Hermes does, but look at the coverage on that. And look how perfecting it is. It's a beautiful foundation and a lot cheaper. I think this is like $64 or something. So this is cheaper than the Victoria Beckham foundation drops and cheaper than the Hermes. So in case you're looking to save a little bit of money and you want the same type of look, go with the Outside In. But let me know in the comments down below. Do you like the Hermes, the Outside In, neither, both? Let me know in the comments section. I removed the Outside In foundation. I want to go with the Sublimage foundation from Chanel. So this is the shade 22 Beige Rosé. Now, one of my subscribers told me that they are possibly discontinuing this foundation. Let me know in the comments down below if you've heard the same thing. I think it's like not available for order online. That's what happened with the Armani foundation when they were reformulating. You couldn't order it anywhere. I hope that's not the case. It's a beautiful formula, but knowing Chanel, if they're discontinuing it, they'll come out with something equally as beautiful, if not more beautiful. But this is the Hermes compared to the Sublimage foundation from Chanel. Now let us put it on the face. And there's another foundation that when you look at it in the tub, it doesn't look like it's going to work, but it does. Now this perfume does have this foundation has a fragrance. Yes, Courtney, all perfumes have fragrance. Good job. This foundation, oh my gosh, this foundation has fragrance, but it's a beautiful fragrance. I love this fragrance, but it doesn't last too long. Just like the Hermes, once you apply it, in my experience, you don't really smell it anymore. Now, this foundation, you don't need a lot of it to get a good amount of coverage. I think the Chanel has more coverage than the Hermes. Yeah. Slightly more coverage. A little bit of a heavier product, in my opinion. And also needs to be set down more than the Hermes. When you touch the Hermes, I don't know if it's a self-setting formula, but it just kind of melts into the skin. The Sublimage foundation from Chanel, in my experience, it sits on the skin slightly more. You need to set it. But that doesn't mean it's not a beautiful foundation. It is. It just, in my opinion, needs to be set more than the Hermes does. But I have to say, when you look at them, they're not that different. I just think the Hermes has less coverage, more of a glow. But the Chanel does have a glow too. I'm not saying it doesn't, but let's see. This is the Hermes and the Chanel Sublimage. What do we think? I think that, like I said, I think the main difference between these foundations is the fact that the Sublimage, you need to set down, I think, more than the Hermes. And I think that the Hermes, in my opinion, wears better over time. And I think that it leaves your skin looking better than when you put it on. Also, I like a glowier foundation, so I'm slightly more partial to the Hermes, but the Chanel is gorgeous also. It's a beautiful foundation. But let me know in the comments down below. What do you think? Again, this is the Hermes, and this is the Chanel Sublimage foundation. Which one do you think has a better finish, more coverage? What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments down below. If I had to pick a favorite, I would pick the Hermes also because the tub is just a little messy sometimes. I have long nails, and just putting it on, it's a little bit messier. But it's hard to pick a favorite because they're both beautiful foundations, both beautiful formulas. But I also prefer a little bit of a glowier foundation, and I like the fact that it kind of melts into the skin. So I do prefer that type of finish, but you can't go wrong with either one. The only thing is that if you don't like fragrance in foundations, probably skip both of these because they both are very fragranced. But let me know in the comments down below, which one do you prefer, the Hermes or the Chanel? Let me know. So we have removed the Chanel. Let's go with Natasha Denona. I feel like this was the IT foundation of 2025, one of the IT foundations. And I have to say, it wasn't my all-time favorite. I know that's an unpopular opinion. And it's not an opinion that I want to have, because I love Natasha Denona, obviously, but I thought it was too drying on my skin, and also I think the color match wasn't perfect. I'll show you the swatch in a minute. But I want to play around with this foundation a little bit more. I think maybe I just didn't apply it right, or I put too much on when I did try it. Now, this is a self-setting formula made in Italy. And this was made following Natasha's very successful HyGlam concealer. The technical name of this foundation is the HyGlam Foundation. It's hydrating and blurring long wear radiant serum foundation. Now, everyone and their mother loves this foundation. So maybe when I tried it, I just didn't prime my skin enough. Or like I said, I used too much. So I'm going to try it more in this new year that we have here, 2026. Like I said, it is a self-setting formula. It's much more glowy, I feel like, than the Hermes. Could even see it from a distance. Even though the Hermes is decently glowy, the Natasha, I feel like it's a little bit more glowy. It is self-setting, but I feel like you feel it more on the skin. The shade that I have in the Natasha Denona is RN3. I think the shade is just not the best shade for me. So that might be influencing my view of this foundation. Let me show you. See how much darker it is? It's just not my shade. But as you can see, the Natasha Denona is starting to run down my hand a little bit more than the Hermes. You see how much more glowy the Natasha Denona is compared to the Hermes? I think if you don't like a glowy foundation and you're choosing between these two, then maybe go with the Hermes. Or if you have the Natasha Denona and you don't prefer it because it's too glowy, I think the Hermes you would like. But let me show you up close and you can tell me what you think. So again, Natasha on this side and Hermes on this side. You just see how much this is not setting down on its own? I feel like it's just not, it needs to be set. I don't find it to be self-setting on my skin. It's just, it's too, I don't know. I'm sorry, I'm just not the biggest fan of this foundation. So I would definitely go with the Hermes, but that's my personal preference. I just feel like that the Hermes just goes into the skin so much easier. And when I did wear the Natasha Denona foundation, the couple times that I've tried it, at the end of the day, my skin, you could see all the fine lines, even fine lines that I didn't know existed. That I really rather not know that they exist. I would prefer they stay hidden, but Natasha made them come out a little bit stronger. So, like even around here, I was getting lines. And it's a funny story. So I had gone to the Makeup by Mario launch event in New York City for this foundation, which we're going to try next. And at that event, they were trying on, your shades, see what shade you were. And the makeup artist asked me, what foundation are you wearing? And I said it was the new Natasha Denona HyGlam foundation, and she made a face. And I said, you don't like it? She goes, no, it's too drying on your skin. Plus, it wasn't the right shade, but she had said that it was too drying on my skin. So even though it looks very glowy right now, first of all, it doesn't feel like it's self-setting to me. And then also, I found it to be drying. So that's my experience with the Natasha Denona foundation. It's not my favorite, but I do want to continue trying to make it work. But let me know, what do you think about the Hermes versus Natasha Denona? So we still have the Hermes on the side of my face. And now we are moving on to one of my favorite foundations ever, the glorious Makeup by Mario SurrealSkin Natural Finish Foundation. And I'm just noticing we have some foundation in the hair, but we're going to ignore that. I love this foundation. I've already been through a bottle since September. For someone who has this much makeup, it's a pretty good accomplishment. I use this almost every day for work. I've been wearing this. It's just my go-to. So this is my second bottle, and I ran out of this foundation, I would say, about maybe a month ago. So I went through it rather quickly. It's a little bit lighter. This is the shade 2N. I probably should get a little bit of a deeper shade next time. Maybe for the summer I will. It's a little bit light. What a beautiful, beautiful everyday foundation. It's long wearing. It's medium coverage. It's buildable. Just so good and easy to use. No fuss. I love this foundation. It just makes it look like your skin, but better. And I also went in with the Hermes primer and just freshen that up, just because I'm taking off and putting on so much makeup and using the makeup wipes, so my skin is a little bit desperate for attention. So I did go in with the Hermes primer just to give my skin some hydration. And before we do the up close and personal look, let me just give you a little swatcheroo, as we professionals call it, of the two foundations. So this is the Hermes, and this is the Makeup by Mario SurrealSkin Natural Finish Foundation in the shade 2N. So as you can see, the Makeup by Mario is much more runny. That's what it looks like. So it's more glowy than the Hermes, I think. Well, maybe comparatively glowy. I mean, they're both glowy. I'm just pumping a little bit more of the Hermes on this side. I just think with taking off and putting on makeup so many times, I just need to reapply a little bit more. Okay. All right, that's better. All right, so let's look up close and personal with these two foundations. So this is the Hermes and the Makeup by Mario. And just please note, this is the newer one that came out in 2025. This is not the original SurrealSkin foundation. That one is more glowy. This is more of just your skin, but better type of appearance. So Hermes and Makeup by Mario. I think the Makeup by Mario is slightly more drying. I don't think it's as moisturizing as the Hermes. I think the Hermes has a more natural luminosity to it. You see how the light's reflecting off of that? The Makeup by Mario, not as much. When you get closer, it's a little bit, but not nearly as much as the Hermes. I feel like the Hermes is just a healthy glow to the skin. The SurrealSkin Natural Finish Foundation from Makeup by Mario, I think, to me, is more of an everyday foundation. The Hermes, it can be your everyday foundation, but it's a more special foundation. Just see that natural glow that you're getting from this? You're not getting it as much as this. Unless you don't like that luminosity in your foundation, you may prefer the Makeup by Mario. And the Makeup by Mario doesn't have fragrance, and it's a lot cheaper. So there are a lot of benefits to that foundation. But if I'm comparing them side by side, if price wasn't an issue, I would go with the Hermes. But it doesn't mean that the Makeup by Mario is not a good product. I will still continue to love that foundation. That foundation is not going anywhere. I just would say that I would prefer the Hermes if price wasn't an issue. But the Makeup by Mario has its place. It's a beautiful foundation. And also the price is a lot more reasonable. So let me know in the comments down below what you think. But this is the Makeup by Mario versus the Hermes. So just a quick note about the Makeup by Mario. I feel like it needs to be set more than the Hermes. So just want to make that note. So we have the new Armani Luminous Silk. I shouldn't say new. The newly reformulated Armani Luminous Silk Foundation. Now on my channel, I do have a review of this foundation comparing it to the original formula. If you're interested, please go check that out after you finish this video. So I'm not going to go into a ton of detail of this formula versus the old one, but thankfully Armani did not ruin the Luminous Silk Foundation when they reformulated. So let me show you a swatch. Now I'm a different color in the newly reformulated foundation versus the prior version. I am now shade 2 in the new foundation, newly reformulated, excuse me. This is the Armani. As you can see, the Armani is starting ever so slightly to go down my hand, not too much. It's kind of staying in place. And again, the shades look so different. But let's get this on my face. So this foundation does not provide the most coverage in the world, but I think a lot of us don't want the heaviest form of coverage, so it's a good thing. Now, please keep in mind, I haven't been doing full day wear tests comparing, each foundation one to another. I'm just basing my experience of wearing the Hermes for the last few days with these other foundations, what I know about them from experience, and also just how they look comparatively on camera here. But I think there's really no comparison when it comes to the Hermes versus the Armani. The Hermes just has that lit from within glow. The Armani is beautiful. It's one of my favorite foundations, and I'm very glad they didn't mess up the formula when they reformulated. But if you compare the two side by side, I feel like the Hermes is just so much more hydrating, provides more coverage. I don't know, I just like it better. As far as how it feels on the skin, the Armani, you don't really need to set down that much. I mean, I think you do need to set it a little bit, but not terribly so. Not like the Natasha Denona that felt like you really needed to set it, or the Makeup by Mario that needed some setting. But also in testing out the Hermes, I find it to be much more long wearing than the Armani. Also the way your skin looks after wearing it, it just looks so hydrated and glowy and just beautiful. So for me, there's no comparison. I think that I prefer the Hermes. But what do you think? So this is the Hermes, and this is the Armani. Let me know, which one do you think looks better? So now we're going to move on to Estee Lauder. This is the Double Wear Stay in Place Makeup Foundation. This is not my favorite foundation in the world. To me, I find it to be too drying, so I gave it to my mom. She loves it. So this is actually her second bottle. I did buy her a second bottle because she went through the first bottle. But we're going to try it. And this is the shade 1N1 Ivory Nude. And this is the shade comparison and the consistency. So here you have Hermes, here you have Estee Lauder. I'm not crazy about the method of application, that this is kind of more the old-fashioned bottles that you pour into your hand. Now to me, this does have a fragrance, but it's kind of like how Clinique makeup smells. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what it smells like to me. Now I just found this foundation to be too heavy for me, but I know so many people love this foundation, so I was kind of surprised that it wasn't a big hit for me. I don't know, now that I have it on the skin with the primer underneath, it is looking better. And you have to try this one again. Mom, if you're watching, I hope you are. I may have to take this from you because I have to try this again. Maybe I didn't give it a fair shot. I remember when I tried this, I wasn't crazy about the wear. I felt like it dried out my skin and it emphasized my dryness. Like if you could probably see it. See those little dry patches? They're coming through on this foundation. Not so much on this side. I do have more dryness on the other side, but I have like one right here and you can't really see it unless I get very, very close. To me, the Estee Lauder, you can see the dry patch right away. Even though this foundation, I probably should give it another fair chance. Right off the bat, when I see these dry patches coming through, and I'm not seeing them on this side coming through as much or at all. To me, there's no comparison. The beautiful radiant glow that you're getting from the Hermes, the fact that it's not emphasizing my dryness. The only thing I could say off the bat, the Estee Lauder does have more coverage, it looks like. So if you're somebody that needs more coverage or you don't like a glowy look, you may prefer the Estée Lauder. I still prefer the Hermes, personally. But again, if you need more coverage, you don't like a glowy look, you might prefer the Estée Lauder. So this is the Hermes and the Estée Lauder Double Wear. Let me know in the comments down below which one you like better. Okay, so we are at our second to last foundation for this foundation showdown. And I'm going with the Dior Forever Foundation. This is in the shade OCR Cool Rosy. So this is the Hermes and this is Dior. I think the Dior stays put even more than the Hermes. But you can see the difference in shade. They're quite different. So I think I'm going to touch up this side a little bit from the Hermes first. I'm going to do that using my hands. Just because putting on so much makeup, taking it off, I'm trying to keep it to one side, but I guess naturally the makeup wipe hits that side a little bit, so a little bit has come off. So I'm just fixing it up just a smidge, trying to create a even line down my face. I think the left side of my face is like screaming at me, like, please do not take any more makeup off or put any more on. Leave me alone. Go get me a facial. Even if it's a half a face facial, that's what I'm going to have to go for. Just on the left side, just to save money. Because who in their right mind takes on and off 11 foundations in one setting? I don't know. But that's my dedication to you. That's my dedication to beauty, to makeup, to society in general. It's a lofty goal. It's quite a public service that I'm doing right here. That is the Hermes again, just all freshened up. And I got it on my lip. Also, I've never reapplied so much lip gloss in one setting either. But every time I do the foundation, it's affecting my lips. Again, the Armani. Also, every piece of makeup in front of me has foundation on it. Every brush, everything. Okay, so now we're going to go with the Dior. See how much lighter that is? I picked out this shade years ago. I don't know what I was thinking. It's in my pre-YouTube days. I was younger, more carefree. It was a simpler time, really. I've probably been wearing the shade now for, I don't know, 7 or 8 years. It's just a little bit too light. It's a beautiful formula. If you've never tried it, definitely one of my go-tos. And what's good is you don't need a lot of product to get good coverage. Definitely medium coverage, buildable coverage. Okay, so very perfecting on the skin. It's Dior, no surprise there. It's absolutely beautiful. When you compare it to the Hermes, I think the Hermes definitely has more of a glow to it. If you put a glowy product under the Dior, it does come through. But the Hermes just has that natural kind of luminosity compared to the Dior. See that? But they're both beautiful. So I would say that the main difference is if you're sensitive to fragrances, you will probably almost definitely prefer the Dior. If you like a more perfecting look, a little bit more of a matte look, you would prefer the Dior. But the Hermes has more of that lit from within look. But this one, it's hard to choose a favorite. Let me show them to you up close. So this is the Hermes and the Dior. What do you think? Like I said, I think it comes down to the finish you like. The Dior is a little bit more perfecting, a little bit more mattifying, a little bit more full coverage. It's not full coverage, but it has more coverage. The Hermes just has that beautiful lit from within glow. And I think it's less drying. The Dior, when I've worn it, I never looked at my skin afterwards and said, oh, I just look like I put skincare on for 16 hours. This product from Hermes, once it's worn off, like I keep saying, when you wear the Hermes and it wears off, your skin just looks hydrated and plump and beautiful and just like you had skincare on for most of the day. So those are the main differences. I don't think you can go wrong with either foundation. It just depends on what you prefer as far as finish, if you like fragrance, those kind of things. So again, Hermes and Dior. So now I have removed Dior. Bye-bye Dior. And I have put the primer back on this side of my face from Hermes. And we're going to do a foundation that I've never shown on this channel before because I have another video coming up at some point that I'm going to be using this foundation for, but I'm not going to deny you this comparison just because of that. So this is the La Prairie foundation. This is the La Prairie Skin Caviar Concealer and Foundation with SPF 15. Now, this is the most expensive foundation I own. So if you're not familiar with La Prairie, It's a very expensive company. And I have fallen in love with a lot of their skincare. And that kind of stemmed from me trying the foundation and their skin essence, which I love. I use every day. I feel that it really has transformed my skin. But that's another video for another time. I do like La Prairie, but it's very expensive. It comes with the concealer on top, and then the foundation looks like this. So like I said, this is an expensive foundation. I don't believe I've ever worn this on my channel, but it is a great foundation. I've been wearing it for several months. I only wear it on certain occasions. I don't wear it for everyday use. And not that I wouldn't use it for every day, it's just quite expensive. And I have so many foundations and skin tints and all that stuff. And I mix up my products. I don't usually wear the same thing every day. Except for this Makeup by Mario foundation. I have been wearing this for work almost every day very consistently. But for the most part, I like to mix up my products and I'm always testing things out. So let's try this on. Let me show you the swatch compared to the Hermes. Okay, so this is the Hermes and this is the La Prairie. These shades are perhaps the most similar out of the whole video that we're comparing shades. Is a little bit more yellow on the Hermes side, but they both look quite warm when you swatch them. And the La Prairie is in the shade NC20. Pesh. I'll put the information down below. But anyway, let's get this on my face so we can compare. See how warm that looks? But it works, believe me. And even if it didn't work for the price of this foundation, I would have made it work. Believe me, I would have. Now, this foundation do not need a lot of product. I probably even put too much on. You don't need that much to get coverage. It's a beautiful foundation. Long wearing, perfecting on the skin. Absolutely beautiful. Just has a beautiful natural luminosity coming in from this foundation. It's not a very glowy product. It's just so beautiful on the skin. It's one of my favorite foundations. I just don't wear it that often. Now, I haven't done a side-by-side comparison of these two foundations to compare their longevity, but the La Prairie is looking pretty good next to the Hermes, I gotta be honest with you. See, it has the luminosity coming through. Perhaps even more than the Hermes. That's interesting. Didn't want this to be the result. So I just want to note, the La Prairie is considerably more expensive than the Hermes. This is $290 on the website. This is $145. So let's do our up-close comparison. So this is the Hermes and this is the La Prairie. I think the Hermes is more hydrating throughout the day. Your skin will look better after wearing this, but just based on how it looks right now, the La Prairie is looking better in my opinion. But let me know if you agree or disagree. And also with the price, I just want to know, you are getting this concealer with the foundation. So even though you're paying $290, you are getting the concealer with the little mirror. So it's a 2-in-1 product. You're not just getting foundation. So that can justify the higher price tag. Just wanted to let you know that. But let me know what you think. I'm really interested in this comparison. I thought the Hermes would be better, but I think the La Prairie looks better. But let me know what you think. So again, Hermes and La Prairie. Okay, beauty. So we are done with our little foundation showdown. And now I have the Hermes foundation on my face with the primer. I put a little Danessa Myricks on my eye, a little Sarah Creole eyeliner, a little Armani blush. This one right here. I'll put everything down below. Dior bronzer. Trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, and the Dior lip oil that came out recently. This is the black cherry one. This is that glaze formula. This is really pretty. I've been loving this formula. Now that we have come to the completion of our showdown, let me give you my final verdict, my humble opinion. I was going to say my expert advice, but not really expert advice, just my personal opinion about everything we tried and the Hermes foundation in general. So let me talk to you about the Hermes foundation in general, and then I'll tell you what I thought about just how it compared to other foundations that we tried together. So I really do believe this is a beautiful foundation. I am extremely happy with this foundation. I think it does have a lot of skincare benefits. It's 82% skincare based, and I think that really shows with how it wears. I think it shows with the finish that it gives. I did not set my face with any powder. I didn't set it with any setting spray. This is how the foundation looks with the primer underneath. So I personally really love this foundation. and I do recommend it with a few caveats, asterisks, whatever you want to call them. So if you don't love fragrance, if you're sensitive to fragrance, it's not that I don't recommend this. I just recommend you going to the store and checking it out before you spend $145 on the foundation or $110 on the primer. Please go smell this if you're sensitive to fragrances, or just skip it. But I think it's worth testing it out to see if you can tolerate it. The other circumstance that I would say maybe not to pick this up, if you love a foundation that is full coverage, this is very good coverage. It's not like a Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Filter foundation, the one that came out last year. I forgot the exact name of it, but that one was like a heavy duty foundation. This is not that. I wouldn't recommend this foundation if you love absolutely full coverage, matte coverage, no glow. I wouldn't recommend this. Who do I recommend this for? Everybody else. So if you don't mind fragrance, or you can tolerate the specific fragrance or just a whiff of a fragrance as you're applying the product, I do recommend it. If you love a glowy look, if you love the Victoria Beckham foundation drops, but maybe you want a little bit more coverage, you want something a little longer lasting, something not as glowy, you probably would like this. If you like the Prada foundation but want something more long lasting and skincare based, I would recommend this. And if you have dry skin, I would definitely recommend it. And even if you have oily skin, I would recommend this. I think this is something you could set down with powder. And if you have mature skin and you're not looking for the most amount of coverage, which, if you have mature skin, usually women don't like the most amount of coverage, for fine lines and things like that, I would recommend this. And any things that aren't covered by the foundation, I think you could effectively spot conceal. So I think across the board, this is a very good foundation, except like I said, unless you want a matte coverage foundation or full coverage foundation, or you really can't tolerate any fragrances in your foundation. Otherwise, I really recommend it for most everybody else. Now, turning to the primer, I do really love this primer. I think it's an excellent primer. I have enjoyed using it so far and will continue to enjoy using it. I think it's phenomenal. Do I think you need to spend $110 on a primer? No. But I think the combination of these two products together is a really nice one. Or maybe you're looking for something, a little bit more luxury to amp up maybe other foundations as well. This is really nice, but this formula is so good on its own that I don't think you need the primer, but I would recommend both. It's not that I don't recommend this. It's just if you're looking to save a little bit of money, or maybe you think you need both, I don't think you do. I think the foundation is a beautiful formula on its own. It stands on its own, but the primer is really nice and I like it. I could see myself repurchasing after I use this. As you can see, I've used a decent amount so far, and it's only been a few days, but again, I've put it on probably 35 times while filming this video, so it's not really a fair test, but my verdict on both of these are they're beautiful. The foundation, in my mind, I don't say it's a must-buy. It's an excellent foundation. The primer, I don't think it's a must-buy, but it's beautiful. So I hope that helps you if you're thinking about this foundation and whether or not you should pick it up. I do recommend it. And now to quickly compare the highlights of our little foundation showdown. I'm not going to go through every comparison since I did that already, but the highlights. So in comparing these foundations, I think that the Hermes is most comparable to the Victoria Beckham foundation drops, the Outside In Serum foundation, which is one of my personal favorites. And I think if you're looking to save a little bit of money on either the Victoria Beckham foundation drops or the Hermes, I think the Outside In is an excellent option. And also the Chaintecaille, I thought this was very comparable on first impression. Again, I would have to test this out for longevity to see how the two compare, but initially, they look pretty similar. But I hate to say that I think that the La Prairie is just slightly better than the Hermes, except the Hermes, I think, has a better skincare benefit. So like I keep saying in this video, when the foundation wears off, your skin looks phenomenal. I don't get that as much from the La Prairie, but I think the La Prairie has better coverage, more of a glow. I prefer a glow. So maybe if you don't prefer a glow, the Hermes would be better for you than the La Prairie. Also, the La Prairie is more money, but you do get the concealer. So there's a lot of factors at play, but I just wanted to highlight those because I think those were the most comparable to the Hermes. If you're curious and maybe you have one of those foundation formulas already, or you're picking between two of those or three of those, I just wanted to offer that comparison because I think those were the most comparable to the Hermes. Okay, so I think that was very successful. This little science experiment that we did together, this little marathon, this little showdown. I had so much fun testing out this Hermes foundation over the last few days and also the primer. I really have fallen in love with both of those products and I'm excited to hear what you think about them if you do try them. It was fun to compare the Hermes foundation to some of my other favorites at the moment. You know, it's interesting when we review makeup and beauty products here on YouTube. It's almost like in a vacuum. You know, you review each product on its own. Every once in a while, it's good to do a little bit of a comparison because I know it can be difficult to pick out which product might be best for you and your skin type, or if you have mature skin, what might be best for your skin. So I know there's a lot of different factors at play, and I hope that you found this helpful. The left side of my face is very angry at me right now because it's probably saying to me, what are you doing? So at the time that I did the Louis Vuitton eyeshadow comparison, and I did 8 different looks in one video, my eyes still haven't fully recovered, but that is my dedication to you and my dedication to beauty. That is my duty, and I'm happy to fulfill it. But more importantly, I hope that you found this helpful, and most importantly, I hope that you had fun while we conducted this little showdown. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have any questions. I would be more than happy to help you. I know it's hard to decipher what might be best, so let me know in the comments down below if you have questions about the formula, different shades, things like that, and I will try to help as best I can. And even if you don't want to talk about products or makeup, please let me know that you stopped by my channel. I love it when you guys just say hi in the comments below. It's great to see so many of you coming back to my channel again and again. I am so beyond grateful for our growing community of beauty lovers and friends that we are building over on this channel. I have so many new friends in the last few weeks that have joined my channel, and I cannot tell you how much it means to me. And if you haven't subscribed yet to my channel, I would love it for you to join us. We have a lot of fun on this channel talking about makeup, beauty, life. You get to see me poke myself in the eye with an eyeshadow brush, and you never know what you're going to get when you watch my videos. But I just hope that you have fun while you watch my content. And if you do, please consider subscribing and hitting the little notification bell so you don't miss any of my future uploads. We have a lot of fun things coming up in the future, a lot of fun spring releases coming right around the corner, so I wouldn't want you to miss out. So please make sure you subscribe and hit the little notification bell, and I will see you in the next video. Bye, guys.